afternoon, and welcome to our Glendale City Council workshop. This meeting is for council members to review and discuss important issues, projects, and future council meeting agenda items. It's a work study session only and allows the council to hear input from city staff. No action will be taken at this workshop, and there will not be an opportunity for public comment. This meeting is streaming live on Glendale's Facebook and YouTube pages and the city's cable television station, Glendale Channel 11. Thank you for joining us.
Microphone.
Let's try it again. Good afternoon. Welcome to Glendale City Council Workshop Session of May 27th, 2025. Meeting is called to order. I'm not going to conduct an attendance roll call because everybody's here. So if you take note of that, Ms. Bauer, and with that, if you'll introduce item 1.
Downtown Campus Reinvestment Project Update.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor and members of the council. Here tonight to provide our first item today is Eddie Garcia, City Architect.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Today we have update number 33 on behalf of our entire team. We have another month of activity to share with you today. The format is very similar to what you've seen in the past. We usually talk about site activities, things that are going on exterior and interior of the building. But I think we've turned a major milestone right now on the project. For the last several months, you've seen a lot of work specifically on the masonry of the building. But in the last presentation, we were just beginning to start glazing activities on the project. So I have to report that we're staying on track with our glazing timeline. And with the exception of the west facade, most of the glazing is now in. There's still more details to go, but this presentation is going to focus a little bit about that specific product. And then we'll talk a little bit about how we are doing in the interior, some site activities along 59th, and then have a drone video that doesn't quite show up in your packet, but we have a drone video that shows the flyover of how things are proceeding to date. And then, of course, we'll talk about next steps and what's in progress. So with that, yes, the big news is glazing. So for so long, you've seen a lot of images with just the masonry and these openings, these blank openings for a good month or two now. So very quietly, our glazing subcontractor has just performed quite some feats here of getting all of the framing in on 3 or 4 of the key elevations. The 5th elevation being in the west side is still to come, but what you're seeing here is the crews installing the glass on the east side. And for those that have seen this in the progress in the webcam, a lot of the framing was done independently, so it's part of a 2-system process. The frames were done in a shop. They did not have the glass in them. They put them on the floors. The boom lifts came in, and between workers on the inside and on the outside, they would go ahead and install the frames, and then they'd come back and install the glass. So what you're seeing here is the teams putting in the glass. The second system on the side is something we call a curtain wall glazing system, or another term for this particular module is a unitized system. So on the left is a picture of a lot of the stored material that came in. These were window units that were fabricated in a shop completely with frame and glass in it. And they go from floor to floor, so they span the entire level that they attach to. What you can see here on the left, or on the right, I should say, is the crane actually installing these frames from a truck. So lot of unitized parts and pieces that come in and hook together. And then on the inside, there's a person, a craftsman, that receives the frame itself, slides it into the window frame that's next to it. They attach to some anchors on the slabs, and then they put it in place. So this happens to be the south curtain wall. It's a non-bearing wall. It's just a glazing system that acts as the skin of the building. We've talked about the glazing before in past presentations about its R value and shading coefficient values to help knock down that south sun. I can tell you that when we put this glass in, the space to the right where it hadn't been installed yet, you could still feel the heat of the day in it. But as this glass came in, it just definitely knocked the temperature down quite a bit. We still have to protect that glass in the summertime, but at the end of the day, I think we're going to be meeting our targets there on the energy side. And this is a shot you haven't seen before in a while. So this really starts to show how between the masonry and the windows going in and now the curtain wall on the south, it's really beginning to look like the building that we've all looked for. This is the rendering at the very end of this PowerPoint is the same shot. So you can see how it's all coming together. The gap in the middle is going to be another exterior wall, but that's where future art will go. So there's a RFQ that's going on right now in particular for that. So that's coming in a later time. But you can see how that's coming together. And I would add that, a decision we made as a group 2-3 years ago now, when the building was in that brutalist stage, that the building somewhat turned its back on Glendale Avenue. Now you can see how with this glazing opportunity, these new openings and getting daylight through, how that totally changes the script for us. So we're really happy about that. Exterior masonry is essentially done now. This is the west elevation. The mast climber that you see in this shot has now been taken away. But all the masonry is done, and at this point from here on out, it's primarily putting in the glazing that you see that's on the other side. So some more site work. So moving from the glazing activities, around 59th and soon to be on Glendale Avenue, we're putting in new sidewalks and landscape planting zones. So this was done about a week and a half ago, so they've poured a good portion of the sidewalk since this photo's been taken. But this is explanation for all the barriers that you see on 59th right now. We're going till June 6th. I think we might actually beat that date, but we have a permit for June 6th for the barricades to still be up. We will then move to Glendale Avenue. We'll take the curb and sidewalk activities to Glendale Avenue to where that I call it a lay-by, where that turn-in lane one was to the parking garage on Glendale Avenue. That whole corner is going to be redone with new sidewalks and planting the areas and zones and curbs and things like that. So that's to come. This is just a status shot of the interior framing for the first floor. Really, this is in that center room area. To the left would be the one-stop shop, and then in the background you can see the ceremonial stair. But most of the framing will start to occur next month for this. So, but I just want to give you a sense of the scale and the amount of work that's been done in the ceiling so far. And then here we have the north stair. So if you zoom in and you walk towards that stair, this is what you're starting to see. So this stair goes all the way from the garden level to the 4th floor, and at the top is a skylight. And you're starting to see some of that natural light coming in from the top. But you can see how intricate this work is. Most of the stair has been built. What they're working on right now is all of the guardrail applications. So all the panels and pieces that will support the guards and the handrail systems are being installed right now. But this will go on for quite some time. There's a lot of finish work that will be done. The treads are wood. There's just a lot of glazing and ceiling conditions and so forth that will be coming down the pike. But you have to get the raw material in, and it was really interesting to watch them swing this in floor by floor with pulleys and cranes and things like that to get them through these openings. And by the way, this happens to be an opening that was for our elevator. So we were using the elevator opening to put the stair in. This happens to be the 2nd floor. So interior framing now for the next couple slides. This is really just showing you the amount of work that's been done so far in the ceiling planes again. Most of the hard lid, like for instance, everything on the right side in the ceiling, that's all been framed for gypsum board ceilings. And then acoustical tile ceilings will be where you see the ductwork. And then where you see the office spaces, you see partial drywall above. What we call that pre-rocking. And what that is that once most of the ceiling work is done, the contractors have come in and put up a lot of the drywall that frames these offices so that they don't have to go back and do all the details later. And then the work is now from, let's just say from 0 to 8 feet versus 0 to 12 feet. So it really starts to anchor the work closer to the ground and not have to do it all in the ceiling. With the glazing now going in on the building and now on the north side as well, this is a shot looking out of our north conference room. So when you come off the elevator in that nice stair, you walk into this space and you look north. This is actually due north at this point, and get an idea of what the natural daylight will be like in those conference rooms. The full glazing experience, I think it's going to be a game changer for us. This is the 4th floor. It gives you another view of the amount of ceiling work that's done, the framing that's up there now, and then the pre-rock that's going on. So as we go on to further presentations, we'll start to move from the exterior more so to the interior, because at some point the exterior is going to get really close to being at its pre-final stage, and then after that it's a lot of accessories and things that go on. Moving over to the council chambers now, a lot of the exterior work is in full swing right now. So before, in the last 2 months, we've talked about parts and pieces, corners, the extensions to the south. Well, now we have masonry going up. So the masts that were on the building have moved over to this side, so we're putting masonry on. This is the floor that you see for the first lobby floor area of council, and then below is the garden level of a lobby. And then just from the building looking down, you get a sense of scale here, but the new deck that's been put in, you can see the columns that are getting ready for all of the roof framing that's coming in. And that's, the roof framing is in the background where the trailers are. So that'll be coming up really soon. And as we're speaking, we're putting in the columns for the bridge that links these two buildings together. So a lot of steel still on site to be installed, but we're on track with that. And then, of course, you're seeing the roof that's been, the new roof system that's being put in place. I also thought it'd be important to share this picture. This is inside the chamber's attic. I know most of you probably have never climbed up the ladder there above you, but there's a whole system of catwalks and ductwork and some other equipment that are up there, some lighting and so forth. But it is a maze of stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our best to clean up some of the areas. There's some stuff that's been accumulated over time when they change lights or what have you. They just, discarded some boxes and things like that. We want to get all that cleaned up, make it a little bit more efficient up there as best as possible. So as we modernize things on the equipment side, we're going to clean it up so we don't leave too much of a trace behind from what we've been doing. I just wanted to show you that because there's a lot of complex systems up there above your ceiling. And then this is, of course, a shot of the masonry that's going on right now. So they're really moving pretty quickly now. The rhythm is there with the masons and the glazers. So this is the east side of the council. Those are the two new openings that you can see that'll bring some daylight in. And as you turn the corner, this wall is now in progress. It's about halfway up as we speak. And then they'll turn the corner to the west. We're still working on the northwest corner for where your executive conference room will be, but the steel is up on that. It won't be long before the framing comes for that. And with that, here's it's one thing to see it in pictures, in segments, but here's a little flyover that was taken last Thursday. I'll provide some narration here. So what you're seeing in the foreground is all the materials that have been stored on site. So that's just north of the library. And then you can begin to see the amphitheater. And again, we're going to regrade and regrade and regrade until we at a point where we can start forming up our site walls. You can see the extension of the council there on the northeast or northwest corner and the roof that's on there. The roof will be a metal system, but we're going to do that a little bit later in the summer when things get further along with the exterior. And here you can see now that the west facade masonry is complete. It's just window activities from here on out. This happens to be the crane that was putting those windows in the day we shot those pictures. And you can see how much work has been done on the roof. Quite a bit of waterproofing still going on, but the majority of it's in place. Just a lot of detail work from here on out as far as getting it all dried in. But a dramatic transformation all the way around from what we had before, from the profile of the building, the way it addressed the street, the way we navigated to the front door. It's just completely, a completely transformed building now. Okay, so this is in progress. So we just covered the first bullets, but one of the things that we didn't talk about too much was we still have two procurements that are out right now. One of them is an amphitheater technology procurement. That's for the speakers and all the lighting, the theatric lighting that goes in the amphitheater pavilion. So that's forthcoming in the arts RFQ. So economic development oversees the arts component for the project. So it's an RFQ stage right now. There's been some respondents, but I don't have an update specifically on that, but it is coming down the pike here for next steps. But next month, before you break, we're going to have a lot more activity on the first floor. We've been moving from top down, from 4, 3, 2, 1, then we'll go into the garden level and lower level. But we'll have a lot more interior framing as well on the level 1. The west glazing we talked about. We're going to have some, our amphitheater steel columns will be delivered. And between the link and the amphitheater columns, we're hoping that will be relatively well underway by the time we get to our next update. So you'll begin to see the scale of that component. And We'll get some more masonry on the council building, but by the time we meet again, most of the masonry will be done on council's exterior. So a lot of it will be just the details. And then mentioned before, regrading. The amphitheater site is, we're gonna start having some site walls be developed and formed and put in, so we'll start digging for those. But once, we gotta get the amphitheater well underway and the link underway before we start doing that. So quite a bit of work, more to come, but we are on track. And we do talk about yellow, red, green quite a bit, but we are tracking to end of first quarter of 26, so that's good. Again, but we're hoping to learn more after the break in August and see where we are. But with that, I'll take questions.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. For the next presentation, would it be possible maybe to give us some perspective on the garden level, where the council offices will be, and also the clerk's office, because those are two very public-facing parts of City Hall, and how it interacts with the amphitheater and council chambers and all of that, so we can begin to get a feel for all of that, please.
Mayor and Council, Councilmember Turner, yes, we could do that. We'll give you an update. I can tell you right now that the framing is going on primarily in June for that level, but so far it's been mostly the interior core work, elevators, electrical rooms, toilet rooms, things like that. So we'll give you an update on that.
Okay. Do you think it'd be useful for the council to get a tour at somewhere in this stage of the project?
Mayor and Council, I think it's we're definitely open to that. We would take you obviously in a time when it's safe to go in there. There's a lot of work going on, but we can do it after hours to be sure. But there's a lot to see, and I think you'll enjoy seeing it.
I appreciate that consideration for our safety. I don't know if other council members would like to see it at this phase or not, but it might be interesting, and you could reach out and see if anybody wants in on that.
I would.
Question?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So you said something about protect the glass on the south curtain. Can you explain what you meant by that?
Mayor and Council, Vice Mayor Tomolchoff, what I meant by that is that the glass has a lot of technology in its coating to help reduce heat gain. And so, and like anything else, south exposures still get a lot of sun, and especially in the wintertime. And obviously in the summer as well, but definitely in the wintertime. And we use that exposure to help, equalize temperature in the building in the various times of season. But you have to still fight heat gain on all these elevations with glass. So the team has spec'd a pretty high quality glass system to help allow you to see through it pretty easily without having like this dark glass or highly reflective glass. So they use a lot of performance coatings in these glass technology now to allow you to do both. So you can see in and out pretty clearly, but it knocks down that heat gain.
Okay, so we're not going to be putting up a bunch of blinds or something that's on
We will have, as a backup, Mayor and Council, we will have a backup of roller shades that are in a pocket above. But you'll see in this rendering, there's some fins, there's vertical fins that they're helping to cast some shadows on the building.
Okay, so thank you for that. So then when the blinds are up, it's going to be a clear view through the window.
Mayor and Council, that is correct.
Okay, very good. And I do have another question, if I could, Mayor. So I know there's been some discussion, and I believe we had a consensus when the idea was brought up about putting some sort of a historical component either in the lobby of the City Hall itself or in the lobby of the council chambers. And I just wanted to be assured that those conversations, I know the Historical Society, I believe the Historical Society has met with some staff, I'm not sure who. And I know Councilmember Turner and I had volunteered to be part of a working group to work on some sort of a historical component in wherever it's going to be. But I just wanted to make sure that those conversations are taking place and that's part of the scope when we get to the interior.
Mayor and Council, or Vice Mayor Tomolchoff, I've not been privy to any staff conversations for that just yet. But as far as the art program to help with that, we've looked at spots and places in both the council chambers and in the City Hall component itself for things like that to happen. So,
okay.
But it's really an open floor to this body to decide what they'd like to see there.
Okay, I just feel like it's important. I mean, this is kind of a step into the future, but I know not just myself, but a lot of people that I've spoken to, want to make sure that there's something, that reminds us of our past. And, I mean, we lost somebody who was a big part of our past recently. Tom Eggleston passed. And so I don't know I don't know exactly what, I'm not proposing a museum or something like that. I don't think that's what we're looking for, but some way to honor the past, and whether it's, some videos of, people that have been, longtime Glendale residents telling stories about things from the past, where those could be maybe on monitors or something in the lobbies where you could, but some way to honor our past, I think, is an important part of this step into the future. So I just wanted to make sure that those conversations were happening. Thank you.
Ms. Guzman.
Yes. Mr. Garcia, you mentioned something about a bridge. Where exactly on here is that bridge going to go?
Mayor and Council, Councilmember Guzman, there will be a link bridge, if you will, in quotes, that connects the lobby of the council chambers building. And you can see where those two columns are sticking up right now, from there all the way to the first floor deck of City Hall.
Oh,
And so that's how you will, if you're not on the garden level, you could be on the first level, and you can cross over via bridge to the council chambers.
oh, okay. Will we be seeing that in future pictures?
Mayor, Council, Councilman Guzman, yes. We're hoping to have that steel start to be, it's actually going on right now, but the actual link, we're hoping to get up before the end of June.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
in preparation for our 250th America's Birthday celebration, I'm going to be proposing that we have an interactive kiosk in the lobby of City Hall, which goes along with the Historical Society component. So I just wanted to flag that for the council as we prepare for that discussion. Thank you.
No other conversations? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bauer, item 2.
Discussion regarding a recovery well consent letter.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report on item number 2 today will be led by Ron Serio, our Director of Water Services, and he'll be assisted by Megan Sheldon, our Deputy Director of Water Services.
One more time.
Now is it working?
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Today, we're going to discuss the strategy to serve water to the Vi Resort. So first off, I would just like to say that the Vi Resort is located in the Salt River Project service area, and we have plenty of water in the SRP service area. So we have a certain allocation of water. We never use that full allocation. We don't even come close to meet the demands on projects. So there's plenty of water. However, there is a state law or a state statute that prohibits the use of water in what is defined as a body of water, and a body of water is defined as a pool, a lagoon, a lake, or any water feature that has a surface area over 12,320 square feet. This restriction applies not to the entire state, but to active management areas, which there's about 5 or 6 of them in the state. And it's the heavily populated areas, which Glendale is in one of those, so this law applies to us. So basically, they're saying you cannot provide water for anything that's larger than this. However, there are several exemptions. So one example of an exemption is government-owned facilities that are used for recreational purposes that are open to the public. And the easy one to think of is like Heroes Park. That has a big lake feature, and that exemption covers that. Another example is hotels or resorts, like the Vi Resort. There is an exemption for them, and it says they can have up to a 1 acre body of water, and any other water features have to be less than this 12,000 square feet number. Vi is having 2 1 acre, roughly 1 acre size water features, so that doesn't quite apply. So where we landed with Vi is there's another exemption, which is the use of effluent credits. And essentially, the way that would work is Vi would install a groundwater well at their facility, and they would pump groundwater into actually the 2 large pools, and they're looking at 2 smaller pools as well. So they would do that, and then in order to replace that groundwater, they would acquire effluent credits and recharge water back into the ground. So the effect of that is like a net zero. They're taking groundwater, but it's being replaced about a mile away at a recharge facility. So it's kind of a net zero. So that's what the strategy is. And just so you know, we back in March met with the Department of Water Resources to talk about the strategy, and they were very supportive of it. And there's permitting processes that need to happen for them to approve this. Okay, so Vi needs to apply for a couple of permits. One is to drill the well, and one is a recovery permit. So first, in order for DWR, Department of Water Resources, to consider these permits, they need a consent letter. And the reason for that is the Vi Resort is in Glendale service area, so we have the right to serve them water. So the state will not allow them to put a groundwater well in unless we authorize them to do that. So that's what we are asking to do for one action, is that we would ask for permission to give a consent letter to Vi and to the Department of Water Resources to allow them to drill a well. And the consent letter is restricted to these 4 pools. All the other water on the site for everything else will be provided by Glendale through the meters like we normally provide water to everybody else. And then the second thing is we want to sell one effluent credit to Vi. And the reason for that is for one of the other permits, for one of the 2 permits, Vi or the Department of Water Resources will not process a permit if they don't have a credit to pump against. So if we sell them one credit, and one credit is 1 acre-foot of water, which is, if you took 1 acre and put a foot of water on it, that's how much it is. It's about 325,000 gallons of water. So they need one of those credits just for the permitting process to continue. And us selling them one credit, I mean, just to put this in perspective, overall, Glendale has over 200,000 groundwater credits from multiple sources, effluent, surface water that's been recharged. And at the specific site, which is within a mile of the Vi Resort, we have almost 30,000 effluent credits. What Vi ultimately needs for a 30-year period is somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 credits to provide water for this purpose for about 30 years. So in the grand scheme, it's not much. And Glendale also continuously recharges water. So we earn about 5,000 to 6,000 credits a year is what we earn. So what this will do is allow the permitting process to continue while Vi looks at the market. They're going to try to identify groundwater credits that they can purchase from another entity, and if that are usable directly by Glendale in our service area. If they acquire them, we're willing to trade credits, so it's a 1-to-1. But if for some reason they can't, we have plenty of credits available that could be used. So at tonight's voting meeting, there's one item on the agenda, and it covers 2 things. One, it's authorizing city manager to submit this recovery well consent letter. And the other one is to execute a purchase and sale agreement for 1 effluent credit. And with respect to the value, the $550 that we're selling it for, I'd like to ask Megan. She did some research to value that credit, because these credits don't sell very often, so it's hard to value it.
Yes, so we looked at some state purchases. The Arizona Water Banking Authority purchased some credits in September of 2024 at a cost of $485 per acre foot. And then more recently, in February of this year, the Arizona Water Banking Authority also purchased more credits at $533 per acre foot. So since it was February and now it's almost June, and the location of our effluent credits nearby, we thought the $550 per acre foot was a fair market value.
So that concludes our presentation, and if there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate the presentation. A few questions. For one, this system of using these groundwater credits is not new to Vibe. Was there not a water park in Mesa or something recently that did exactly the same kind of proposal?
Mayor, Councilmember Turner, yes. Mesa, I don't know if you've seen, I've seen recently a bit on the news where there's a surf park that opened in Mesa. And Mesa, that's exactly what they did. The developer purchased some, actually it was Colorado River credits, and then they traded those credits 1-for-1 with Mesa to the developer, and that's exactly how they're providing water to that park, yes.
Okay, great. And, well, and generally speaking, I think Colorado River credits are a more valuable resource than our wastewater effluent purified water credits are. So we're not using, typically your surface water is your most valuable water, as in my thought line. I did have a chance to get briefed by staff earlier late last week on it, and had a lot of questions at that time, and I got very comfortable with how this is going to happen. There's precedent in other parts of the valley for it. The water loss at the site would, as I understand it, would be due to evaporation, and then as the lakes need to be pumped to be filtered, or to backwash filters, or any time there would be a discharge of that water, it actually comes back to Glendale and is ours again to recharge back into the aquifer. So it's not a total loss of these acre feet of water anyway. We still get some of it back, and we have a system to manage all of that. And while it's important, I think that we all understand that tonight, if we so choose, we'll be selling them 1 acre foot, because you have to have at least one to get the permitting process started. It doesn't mean that every acre foot that they'll need would have to come from Glendale. Other West Valley cities might see the value of selling the water that they maybe can't use in the near future, and the fact that VI's supporting jobs throughout the West Valley and Central Phoenix, no doubt, and also boosting the property tax rates for the school districts that serve students in some of these West Valley cities. So there's a regional benefit to this project, but I do think it's wise that we know, at least in the back of our heads, that we might have to be, able to present every acre foot of water they need. But as you've said, in the scheme of things, it's a small portion of our groundwater credits and an even smaller portion of our total water portfolio. So I'm comfortable with it, and I would encourage, certainly after other council members have a chance to get their questions answered, I hope they'll be comfortable as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think this is really a great solution to how this all ended up. And I mean, I think it needs to be said is that Vi has greatly downsized the amount of their water amenities. So I think that's an important point to make, is that I think we started out with, I want to say 11 acres or something like that. And I don't know what the number is now, but I know it's quite a bit smaller than what was initially when it was Crystal Lagoon. The amount of water that they're going to be using for, amenities for their guests has the size of the amount of water has been greatly reduced. And this is going to be a pretty large expense for them to, install all this infrastructure to be able to accomplish this. This isn't going to cost us anything. They're going to pay for all their own infrastructure. So I think those are real good things that are that are important to mention here. I do have a question, though, just kind of a mechanic, because I like to understand how things work. Once they've achieved whatever the number is, 1,000 or 1,500 credits, is that a one-time thing for them, or are they at some point in the future going to have to continue to be able to acquire credits?
Mayor, Vice Mayor Tomachov, so my understanding is they want to buy a chunk for 30 years worth of water, but at any time during that time period, they could acquire additional credits to go beyond the 30 years if they would like to do so, or if they became available somehow. So yeah, there's not a requirement or restriction on when they can acquire credits or how many they can acquire.
Okay, so thank you for that. So I guess I didn't so the amount of credits that they need is basically they determine how many they need based on the amount of water that they need. It's not an ADWR thing. Okay, all right, thank you for that.
Mayor, Council, my questions revolve around transparency in terms of the council and the city of Glendale. Why was this item removed as an action item from the last voting meeting agenda and now reappearing on the consent agenda without allowing for public comment? What has changed since the last voting meeting? What additional information has been provided to staff or to council? And should the public be able to weigh in before the final approval? Thank you.
Mayor, Councilmember Conchas, the reason that it was removed last week is there was a couple of questions from council members. So we decided we would pull it in order to bring it to workshop and present it and answer all of your questions. And since we're presenting it today, it's not new business anymore. So we thought it could go on consent.
Mayor, one follow-up question.
Go ahead.
So with the item being pulled from the last agenda, that may have limited folks' ability to comment on that publicly, and then for it to then go through workshop without a public comment period, and then to go into consent agenda. So that essentially, I understand it wasn't the intention because of the questions of the council members, but I believe that needs to be factored in for future items to make sure that the processes that we put things on our agendas allows ample time for the public to give their comments. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Anyone else?
Mayor, if I may. Thank you, Mayor. If I'm,
Go
are you
ahead.
pointing at me? Okay. I just want to, I can't see over there. I just wanted to, if I could clarify though, that the public has the right and is welcome to speak on any item on the agenda, whether it's on the consent agenda or an individual item. So, I mean, the public can come and, I don't know what number it is, I don't off the top of my head, but we often have people submit speaker cards for something that's on the consent agenda. So they're welcome to do that. And I can say, I appreciate the fact that I was one of the council members that thought it was important to workshop this item because for the sake of transparency. So I'm pleased to see that we're showing people exactly what it is we're doing. And I honestly, I do believe that this is a really good solution to how to supply, really without using potable water that Vine needs in order to accommodate the plans that they have for their resort. So to the public that's maybe listening now, you're more than welcome to come fill out a card and speak on this evening, or even during a later meeting if you have a problem with it during the open public comment. So that I don't feel like that's been, the public's been prevented an opportunity to speak on it. Thank you, Mayor.
You had a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the same thing. They're given the opportunity to comment, so I don't believe that that was taken away from them at all. And I am also very happy to see that we were able to resolve this issue with the water with the Vine Resort, because it is a very important project for the city of Glendale. We will be getting quite a bit of tax revenues from it, and so I just wanted to add that also.
Mr. Turner, you had something?
Thank you, Mayor. I think Councilmember Conchas raises a good point. In fact, a point that I've raised have others several times in over the past 10 years that those of us that have been here that long have been serving. This is just a little bit different in that it was on the agenda. At least a couple council members, Councilmember Tomachov and myself that I know of, asked that it be pulled from the agenda 2 weeks ago, so it could be workshopped, and so the public would be able to have hear this conversation. But it also 2 weeks ago served, in essence, as notice that the conversation's coming, that this is, something that is, that was kind of like 2 weeks of public notice for the public and the press as well. And so we've had our conversation today. Certainly there's some time today if people have questions to ask. They're certainly welcome to come down and submit a card tonight. Any council member that wants to pull it off the consent agenda tonight to have more discussion or to get questions that maybe you get asked between now and then answered, it's still there. So I appreciate you watching out for us and making sure that we're being as transparent as possible. And I think that we're covering it this time, and on some of these things, time is of the essence as well. We don't want to slow progress too much, because every month that the Vi's not open is a month that people aren't getting paychecks, and that the cities and the school districts aren't getting tax revenue. Thank you.
Mayor, one last comment.
Go ahead.
I want to thank the council. I want to let you all know that I appreciate the city manager for walking me through this process, and for all the other council members that answered my questions, and to city staff. So the substance of it is not a problem. I just wanted to emphasize the way that it was structured on the agendas. Thank you. And I will be giving my consensus.
Okay, you don't need any action from us on this item.
No, sir.
Okay. No other discussion? All right, thank you. City manager's report.
I think we're ready to roll. Thank you. Hey everyone, buckle up. We're definitely starting this update in the fast lane. We just saw the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500. As you know, Mario Andretti is a household name when it comes to racing due to his remarkable achievements in not only IndyCar, but Formula One and NASCAR as well. So, welcome to Glendale's newest attraction, Andretti Indoor Karting and Games. It's high-speed fun that's revving up our local economy. Guests can race around the track, bowl, play arcade games, battle it out at laser tag, and enjoy food and drinks all under one roof. As part of the grand opening week celebrations, we hosted Experience Glendale Day. The community block party featured mascot meet and greets, marching bands, prize giveaways, and a drone light show. The celebration also marked a big moment for our Convention and Visitor Bureau. It's now called Experience Glendale. The new name reflects our commitment to promoting Glendale as a top destination across Arizona and around the world. Glendale is raising the bar for employee wellness. At the brand new Fire Station 153, we've opened a recharge room, complete with red light therapy, an infrared sauna, and a cold tub. It's all designed to help our firefighters recover after intense shifts. More recharge rooms are on the way at Fire Station 155, the Glendale Regional Public Safety Training Center, and the new City Hall. We're proud to provide this innovative support for our employees who work hard for our city. Smart recycling starts early, and Glendale is leading the way. On Earth Day, our recycling team visited Challenger Elementary to launch a new children's education program. Second graders jumped right in, sorting recyclables, asking great questions, and sharing creative ideas to cut down on waste. And we're just getting started. This spring and summer, the team will bring hands-on workshops to community centers across Glendale. The goal is to teach kids how to recycle right and help keep our city clean. Glendale just launched the next exciting chapter at Heroes Regional Park. After a year of hard work, we're thrilled to unveil a brand new section filled with amazing amenities. From playgrounds and pickleball courts to sports fields and a dog park, there's something for everyone. These new additions join the park's fan favorites like the Urban Fishing Lake, Splash Pad, and Skate Park. Our code compliance team went above and beyond to help a neighbor in need. An elderly resident was facing a violation for having a dirt front yard. She has no family nearby and limited resources. Our team stepped in to help transform her yard. They connected her with a local landscaping company that donated materials, and with the Maricopa County Adult Probation for labor. They even brought in the code compliance tool trailer to provide the necessary equipment. The homeowner was very grateful. From exciting new amenities to major milestones, Glendale's moving full speed ahead, and we're glad you're along for the ride. See you next time.
I was surprised you put the helmet on.
I don't write the script, I just read it.
All right, next item is
No
our
report
attorney.
today.
No report? Okay. So with that says, can we go ahead and hear from the council, special items of interest? Each council member has that opportunity to indicate topics that they'd like to have discussed future workshops. Mr. Baldenegro?
None today, sir.
Councilmember Conchas?
None today, sir.
Councilmember Guzman?
None today, sir.
Councilmember Melner?
Nothing today.
Councilmember Turner?
Not today.
Vice Mayor?
Mayor, I do have one. I'd like to, I guess, maybe formalize the policy. I know we were doing it a few years ago when I think during a workshop, some of us were surprised by the amount that the total for Ballpark Boulevard had gotten to. And rightly so, we were told we've approved every contract, but it's hard to keep track of what the dollar amount is. And so for a while, they were providing a spreadsheet on the staff report on voting meetings so we could see where we were in the spend on particular projects. So I'd like to bring back an idea of actually formalizing that as a council policy, because we have so many contracts that we're approving, it's hard to really know where we are in the spend on different contracts. So I thought that was really helpful. We were doing it at one time. It hasn't been done for quite some time. So I'd like to formalize that policy or see if there's a consensus to do that. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, I have nothing myself. I get a motion to go into executive session?
I move that we move into executive session, Mayor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. There's the ayes have it, do have it, the motion carries. Council meeting is recessed.